Hello everyone, myself Arshita Kaler and I am a legal intern at Lexis and Company. The purpose of this video is to share information regarding evolution of administrative law in India. First of all, let's understand the administrative law histories around the whole world. So there is no such as history of administrative law, but there were some reasons why administrative law came into the force. It's not codified law or any substantive law or a procedural law. It's just that it deals with the constitution, it deals with the administrative works, and it deals with the legislatures, it deals with the executory, it deals with the judiciary. So it's not any procedural law or codified law or any substantive law. It's just that it deals with constitution, legislature, executory, and judiciary. There were several scholars that gave a different definition for administrative law. Sir Ivy Jennings gave the definition: administrative law is a law relating to the administration and clearly defining their duties, their rights, and their responsibility of the authorities. Which means every administration or every office or every authority have some rights and have the responsibility toward the society. They are governed with some rules, regulations. In conclusion of the meaning of administrative law, we can say it ensures the procedural work of the authorities, it governs the procedural work of the authorities, states their rights and their liabilities and their responsibilities toward the society, studies the law made by as well as law which is made to control the administrative. Just like that, there is National Green Tribunal. It's for any issue regarding environment, pollution. So these are the executive bodies were made for studies the law made by as well as law which is made to control the administrative. Or we can say in simple language, administrative law deals with the executory bodies, their rights, their duties, their responsibilities. So what are the executive bodies? First of all, let's understand it with an example. The three pillars of democracy is legislature, which we can say government, judiciary, Supreme Court, High Court, District Court, all are these are also the second pillar of the democracy, and third is executory bodies. So the government, the legislature, passed the law of Income Tax Act in 1961. Judiciary, Supreme Court didn't ask any question on that. Okay, the law was passed in Parliament. It is fine. So now the income tax department will be called as executive bodies. Every case or every mishappening occurring in the society will be directly going to the income tax department. The income tax department will be responsible to govern the Income Tax Act. So all the government bodies are executory, and the head of that executory body is a president of that executive body. Suppose CBSE is an executive body, UGC is an executive body. Take another example, CAT, Central Administrative Tribunal. It's an organization, or we can say executive body for the IAS. Every city have its own district magistrate, and if that DM or we can say IAS is having any problem or having any issue, they want to go, they can go directly to the Central Administrative Tribunal. It's responsible for any issue regarding IAS. The main points of administrative law is they govern the executive bodies. It is not a codified law. There is no such sections. It's just that it governs and it controls the authorities, and it states the liabilities, the rights, and the duties of such tribunals or such executive bodies. What was the reason of growth of this administrative law? It's not even a codified law, it's not even a procedural law, it's not even a substantive law. Why the people at that time thought of that we need administrative law? There are certain points, we will discuss it, which held that we and the society needs administrative law. Main point is the inefficiency of judiciary, or we can say there's very pending case. There are so many pending case already in judiciary lined up. So if we will make another department like income tax department, so they will deal with the Income Tax Act. so that cases related to income tax forgery or fraud will not be held in the court. They will be held in income tax department first, then they will be held to the different tribunals or the different court. They are different tribunals for income tax. That's why this will save time for the judiciary, for the courts. And main point is the inefficiency of judiciary, or we can say there's very pending case. There are so many pending case already in judiciary lined up. So if we will make another department like income tax department, so they will deal with the income tax act, so that cases related to income tax forgery or fraud will not be held in the court. They will be held in income tax department first, then they will be held to the different tribunals or the different court. They are different tribunals for income tax. That's why this will save time for the judiciary, for the courts. And that's why the main reason was for building up the administrative law. This is the main reason of growth of national tribunals and administrative law around the whole world. That's it for the video. Do give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. Thank you.